Hey guys, Balkan here. There's always that one thing from our childhood that we all remember. And that one thing for me was The Love Bug. Released in the late 60s by Walt Disney, The Love Bug has been my favorite movie for years, and I have a lot of great memories watching it with my family. The story revolved around a 1963 Volkswagen Beetle named Herbie, who, in fact, was alive. While the film was very successful and had many different sequels, the one we're going to be discussing today is a made-for-TV movie under the same name. Released in 1997, the TV movie was said to be a direct sequel to the original. And today, I'm going to be giving my in-depth review of it. Now be warned, there are spoilers ahead, so if you haven't seen the movie, I'd recommend going watching it. But with that out of the way, let's get this thing started. The movie begins with a quick narration recapping the events of the first few movies. And it's not long after that we realize that Herbie is under new ownership, and is no longer the race car he once was, as he loses his first race. We then cut to Herbie's new owner, Simon Moore, played by John Hannon, who immediately after losing the race, disowns Herbie and sends him to the junkyard.
What an asshole!
We then cut to the real star of this movie, Hank Cooper, played by none other than Bruce Campbell himself. Yeah, you heard me right. But it's pretty apparent he's not very good at his job.
Coming on your paycheck, Hank. No, this is your paycheck. It wasn't even a good race. I mean, come on. Rudy Walters? I used to race circles around guys like Walters.
I think they call that spinning out.
Hey, Hank, hey, Chuck.
Rowdy here. Now, he's a freeloader.
I know that, and I accepted in him.
Artist. Installation artist.
Freeloader.
It's then that Hank's boss, Chuck, played by Clarence Williams, gives him an ultimatum. To enter a mechanic competition and win up some publicity, or he's fired. So he enters the competition where Herbie just so happened to end up after being sent to the junkyard, where each mechanic must rebuild an old junker and race it to see who's the best mechanic. Where it's apparent that nobody's picking Herbie, and I'll admit, this next moment is pretty touching.
This is like when you're a kid and they're picking up sides for kickball.
Number 6.
I was always picked last. I always hated that.
Number 7. Here he comes. Pick a winner, pal. I'll take this one.
It's then that Hank begins to work on Herbie with the help of Rodney, played by Kevin O'Connor. And after a quick tune-up, Herbie's ready to race, but has some trouble getting off the starting line. Then...
Well, all right. Let's go. He's doing it. He's really doing it. We have a winner! We got a winner! Number 3 is the winner! Oh!
So after the race, Hank meets up with some of the judges and, what do you know, one of them's Simon.
Cooper! Nope. Can't place it. Of course, you probably never won against me, did you?
Well, no.
Ah, well, then there you have it. You see, I make it a point never to remember the names of those that I've trounced. Keeps my mind clear for winning and all that. But hey, look at you.
For the love of God, somebody kick his ass!
After being dissed by Simon, Hank does meet up with one other judge, his ex-girlfriend, Alex Davis, played by Alexander Wentworth, who of which he decides to take for a drive after the race is over. Oh, let the awkward conversations begin.
I didn't want to go out anymore because all you could talk about was racing.
That's it?
Yeah.
But you said you loved racing. You couldn't get enough of racing. Hell, you were a race driver. Let me give you a little dating tip. Never blow off women who show an interest in what you do.
An interest? Now, wait a minute. You brought up every crash I had, every blown engine, every mischief. You threw my entire failed career at me.
Well, I'm sorry. But you did basically wipe out every car you drove. 3 years in the circuit and you finished in what, 5 races? I thought it was kind of funny.
Oh, really? Well, let me give you a little dating tip. Don't tell a guy his life's ambition is funny.
Well, I liked you.
Yeah, well, I liked you too, so there.
What are you doing?
Looking for the ejectors.
After the little talk, Hank and Alex attend a car show with Rodney. Who else will be there but Simon?
Well, you can begin by pointing out the genius behind this masterpiece.
Oh, masterpiece, huh? Well, considering how you did this earlier,
Take it to the junkyard.
I don't think you get that right. Seriously, if someone doesn't punch him in the face, I swear I'm gonna...
Yeah, right. Oh, I am quaking in my boots.
Can I get a repeat of that? Man, I could watch that all day. In fact... gotta love the power of editing. It's not all fun and games, however, as the blow did reveal Herbie's creator, Dr. Gustav Stumple, who Simon then decides to track down. And wouldn't you know it, he actually succeeds. But because of this, we do learn Herbie's origin.
Years ago, I was employed by my government to develop what was to be the simplest of cars. Simple to drive, even easier to maintain. A people's car, we came to call it. And though it was just the cutest little thing. But after the war, the American military heard about our work, and they insisted I come over here to discuss it with them. So I came. I didn't know. I was young. And they kept me for days. They were so insistent, so loud, so...
American? Yeah, I know. Please, carry on.
Well, they wanted me to tell them all about the car we had made.
We want you to tell us all about this car you've made.
Oh, well.
So I told them about my work, and they revealed they wanted me to build them their own car.
We want you to build us our own car.
But they seemed to have confused my people's car with some sort of fantastic car that was a people. They had this crazy thought that my car was somehow alive, and they wanted such a car for themselves.
We want one for ourselves.
I took them seriously. I didn't know. I was young. So I worked. I attempted to fabricate a car that didn't exist, but that they thought I had already made. I stalled for years while I toiled, until I realized the design of the car did not matter. Only the metal that it was made from did. So I tried every alloy, every amalgam, every conceivable compound. Then, one day, an accident happened. My most prized possession, a photo of my beloved Elsa, fell into the mix. Now, I realize this is not very scientific, but I believe that the powerful feelings I had for her were somehow transmogrified into the metal itself, making it possible to create a living car.
It's then, however, that Simon does trick the doctor into making a new car, one under his own design. And after Hank runs off after a fight with his friends, the new car is revealed.
We have a serious problem.
What's happened?
Something got into the mix, something wrong.
So, did you build it?
Yes, but something is horribly wrong.
So you said. Now show it to me. no such thing.
Now with the evil Horace under his control, Simon decides to eliminate the competition. It's then that Herbie runs off after Hank's fight. Realizing his mistake, Hank runs to find him. The search goes long into the night when Herbie runs into a dead end and is cornered by Horace.
Sorry, little car. It's the end of the road.
Wait, what? It's alright. Herbie's been banged up pretty bad before. It's not like he's gonna be, oh my god!
Oh, Herb. What did they do to you? What did I do to you? It'll be okay. We'll fix you up. Hang in there, Herb. Hang on, buddy.
This is it, folks. This is the moment that made me break down. A young 7-year-old Balkan in tears. The Herbie movies at that point were my real childhood. I had spent hours watching every one of them over and over. Some of my most fondest memories are watching them with my brother. I had dreams where I would be in Herbie and we would drive around. And seeing this moment really hit home. This moment that we see Hank defeated without any hope of ever seeing his friend again, and the guilt that he could have saved him. Now for a Disney movie, that's pretty intense, and it really did hit home for me, and I'll never forget that feeling of dread and sorrow that I felt that day. But now with Herbie gone, what's left? Well,
I'm Jim Douglas. I was a friend of Herbie's. I think we need to talk.
so yes, Herbie's original driver, Jim Douglas, played by the late great Gene Jones, is back in his signature role. As a kid, I didn't really think it meant too much as I had known Dean Jones was always around, but as an adult seeing this, it was a great moment. And it means so much to me that he was able to come back and play this role one more time, especially now that he's no longer with us. But back on the plot side, what are they going to do with Herbie?
We're going to rebuild him.
Everyone works tirelessly to rebuild Herbie as we see multiple character interactions, which are some of the best parts of the movie. Everyone works tirelessly, but Hank is the last one to stay, and by the next morning, Herbie is to be built. And this leads to by far one of my favorite moments in all cinema.
The stupid part is we don't even have a key to find out.
I always kept a spare. Just for luck.
Oh, no, thank you. Please. The honor is yours.
Where do I even begin? In my teen years, I had forgotten about Herbie and tried to move past it until I decided to rewatch this movie in particular. And this is the scene that reignited my passion for the films. As a kid, it didn't mean too much, but as an adult, now, it fills me with a lot of emotions. When Dean Jones steps back into the car, you can see the emotion on his face and the memories welling back to him. This is how I felt watching the movie after so long. I've forgotten how much I'd loved these movies and how much emotion they gave me. And this is the moment that brought me back. So it wasn't just Herbie that came back. I came back as well. And that's why this is one of my favorite moments in cinema. Soon after, Jim passes ownership on to Hank, and then everyone departs on good terms. However, the celebration does not last long as Simon finds that Herbie has been rebuilt, and decides it's finally time to end this.
Your chance to redeem yourself, Cooper.
Redeem myself how?
By racing again against my little car.
Your little car?
And that's why I'm proposing the following stakes for our little race. The winner takes home both cars to do with what he wants. Now then, shall we say tomorrow, little cars at dawn?
You make it sound like a duel.
That's exactly what it is.
And as Simon says, the next day, the race begins.
On three! One! Two! Three! Go, Herbie! Go! Go!
They're all gonna die.
As the race begins, Herbie has a slight advantage over Horace, and eventually passes him completely, but Simon won't let it go by so easily.
This is where we say ciao. Now that's racing!
Herbie isn't out of the race for long, however, as they rebuild an old tire and put him back on the road. But as they catch up, it's apparent that Simon's out for blood.
What the?
Grenades!
He's not trying to beat us, he's trying to kill us.
Of course. Don't you get it? He has to get rid of Herbie. This isn't just a road race to him. It's a duel between good and evil, love and hate. And as long as love is around, hate can never rule. But if hate were to win, we have to beat him. That's all.
Oh, sure. Nothing like a little pressure. Hang on!
Herbie is eventually able to outrun Horace to them. However, Simon has one more trick up his sleeve as he decides to use a laser to cut Herbie in half. But as they approach the finish line...
You Yanks never give up.
No! We don't!
As the race comes to a close, Horace takes one final action to take Herbie out once a brawl.
Whoa, whoa! Hey, look out!
It was at this moment that Nathan knew. He fucked up.
So, in the end, Horace is destroyed, Simon is sent to prison, and Hank finally gets the girl. As I originally stated, the Love Bug franchise was a great memory and great part of my childhood, and this movie is no exception. It's up there with the original Love Bug. This movie is fantastic, and I love every second of it. The cast is great, the characters are great, and being able to see Dean Jones behind the wheel of Herbie one last time will forever hold a place in my heart. I'm Balkan, thanks for watching.